Hey everyone, here is another game I would like to share with you from the Pro League. With the white pieces is Julio Becerra, age 45, rated 2531, and with the black pieces, one of the announcers that does commentary with the St. Louis Chess Club, Alejandro Ramirez, with the black pieces. So started out e4, c5, knight f3, e6, knight c3, knight c6. So we have a Sicilian taimanov, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, and queen c7. Bishop e3 from Becerra, and a6, and bishop d3, d6, a4, prohibiting the expansion of black on the queen side with b5, bishop d7, and knight b3. One of the plans for white in this position is to play his pawn to a5 and then harass the black queen with moves and ideas like bishop to b6. With this in mind, Alejandro plays knight a5 in order to prohibit the pawn from going to a4, and there's a quick exchange of pieces, and the queen comes to a5, and there's a temporary pin. Now, there's more important things that Alejandro could have done in this position besides knight a5. Perhaps continue his development and say, for example, knight f6, and whoops, sorry about that. After knight f6, a5, for example, if white wants to carry out that idea, bishop e7, bishop b6, queen b8. And this has been seen before, and it's not that bad for black. Eventually, he can move his light squared bishop from d7 and perhaps drop a piece at an opportune time, one of his knights on d7, and just simply attack that bishop. However, knight a5, knight takes a5, queen takes a5, and this cost white black a little bit of time. As you can see, black has fallen behind in development uh, somewhat. Knight f6, f4, bishop e7, king h1 with the traditional idea, just getting off of that g1, a7 diagonal, planning to bring the queen to e1 and transfer over to the king side, whether g3 or h4 in some cases. Now, this structure with the pawns on f4 and e4, you see that a lot. You see that in the Pirc defense, Austrian attack, variation, um, modern, some lines in the Vienna, and the plan is usually the same. This transferring the queen over via e1 over to the king side. So just remember the structure and the plan that goes with it, not so much the opening per se. So rook c8, queen e1, bishop c6. So black is trying to obtain counterplay by pressuring the e pawn, and now f5. And this is again, a point where black has to be careful. Again, he, a little bit behind in development. His king is still in the middle, and therefore white is trying to open up the f file. And so black has to make a choice here. He doesn't want to exchange, so he keeps things closed, but he gives up the d5 square. And now black is bent on playing the move d5, which is always a special moment in the Sicilian because it usually means that black is equalized and usually can count on prospects of having a good game. Queen g3, and now king f8. Ideally, black would like to play the move castles, which is very natural, but then he has to deal with this move bishop h6 without losing the exchange. And let's say, for example, knight h5, then queen g4, and white is ahead. Okay, white is much better here. The problem, however, with king f8 is now the rooks aren't easily coordinated, and black's king isn't exactly safe on that diagonal a3 to f8, as we'll see shortly. Bishop drops back to d2. The queen is there on a5, so queen gets out of the way. And there's the move a5. So finally, white gets it in. And it slows up any kind of b5 advance or anything like that. So Alejandro goes for his break d5. Now, of course, this is usually a good moment in the Sicilian, and it's pretty good right here. The problem is, though, is that again those rooks aren't coordinated on the back rank, and the king really doesn't belong in f8. So e takes d5, knight takes d5, knight takes, bishop takes, and now powerful moves by Becerra. c4 is driving the bishop back, and now a stock pawn sacrifice. This opens up, of course, the diagonal for the light square bishop, but more importantly, damages the black pawn structure. So bishop takes f6, exchange sacrifice, rook takes f6, just exploding the position. G takes f6, or as the announcers, the St. Louis Chess Club would like to say, an explosive development on the board has occurred. And now we can see the benefit of that bishop being on d2. Look at it. The only dark squared bishop on the board now after Alejandro Ramirez dark squared bishop was taken. And now we see the king in a real dangerous spot. Again, notice the rook on h8 never really getting into the game, and neither did the rook on c8. Rather, there was no coordination there. Queen g7 attacking the rook, and sadly that rook doesn't even have anywhere to go. e4, and Alejandro just ingloriously loses the rook. King d7, queen takes h7. He's not even worried about the bishop. E takes d3 because it is mate in short order. Queen takes f7 check, king d8, and queen f6, and Alejandro was forced to resign. Very forceful game by the veteran GM Julio Becerra. Hope you enjoyed that little short 29 move beat down right there. So please comment, like, subscribe, and check out my links below, and I'll see you guys on the next video.